I will call the October 19th, 2023 meeting of the Wolfeboro Police Commission to order at this time. It is 16:04, and invite everybody to join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. We do have non-public today. Okay. And first order of business is the minutes from our September 21st meeting. I'll entertain a motion on the minutes.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes of the September meeting.
As written.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to accept the minutes as written for September 21st, 2023. Our regular meeting. Moved by Commissioner Coop, seconded by Commissioner Duffy. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Before I go any further, I apologize. I'd like to introduce Kevin Duffy, our newest member of the Wolfeboro Police Commission. We had a resignation, if you will. Our former colleague, Bob O'Brien, had to step down due to health concerns, health issues. He is doing better, as of the latest report that I received today. But however, he felt that it was his time to step aside. The commission then interviewed some people that we were aware were interested in being a commissioner, and after those interviews were conducted, we appointed Commissioner Duffy. So we welcome him on board. He brings a long resume of law enforcement background, also a military veteran, and welcome addition.
Thank you.
So thank you.
Glad to be here.
Okay. And Captain, I believe you're going to be doing the monthly reports?
Yes.
You may proceed, sir.
So we'll start with the incidents year to date. So this month, September, we had 58, which is up 4 from the month of August. It's a 7.41% increase. And of those 58 incidents, we had 73 offenses with those. And all the data is with that.
So with the data, there was quite a busy month at the high school with activity.
Yes, yeah. So this, actually, I got that. Actually, I can give you exact. For the month, I actually printed it out because we were over there in a meeting the other night.
I mean, I expected there would be some activity because school. You know, this is the first time we're hearing about the school, whether just opening in September. But
yeah, you're correct.
it was.
Yeah. So in the month of September, they each had SRO Gabrielli, who used to be Divine. She got married over the summer. Had 14 cases in the month of September, and SRO La Rochelle had 7 cases. And that really is from one's high school, one's middle school, because I've been staying in their sections. But yeah, it's a pretty good amount. 21 cases coming from the school.
Yeah, usually things are pretty quiet in
So
September.
it's 19 days they were in there.
Yeah.
So, and you'll see that in the SRO report.
Okay, thank you.
Arrest year to date, month of September was 13, which is down from the month of August of 22. So it's a decrease of 40.91% for the month of August. I separated it by officer, and the next page you'll see it all the data's in there.
Yes, I have. Yeah.
Yeah, so you can see all the arrests and what they were and the offenses for those. Traffic stops for the month of September, 125, which is down from August of 151. That's a decrease of 17.22%. 4 tickets were given out in the month of September, so it's a 3.2% chance of getting a ticket. Very low. So a lot of education. That's actually pretty good. Collision, which is great. It's really down, 52.94%. Down to 8 from the month of August, which is 17. In July was 20, and June was 26. So we're having a decline, so which is really good to see, because those are high, June, July, and August. So you'll see the streets where they are: Lena Street, Partridge Street, which is very odd, South Main Street, Trot and Track, and Wambach. So all all 8 of them, that's where they are. And then you can see the total for the year, which is 127 so far.
That Partridge was a excavator on the back of the moped. And he took out about 300 yards of electrical cable trying to get to a construction site.
That would explain why it's
Yeah, it
in
was
that
nice.
area.
It wasn't an unusual spot.
Yeah. So I printed out the personal analysis report, so you'll see for the month of September, 58 incidents. You can break it down by each officer for the month of September. I also did for the whole year, so far to the end of September, we have 485 incidents. The arrests were 198. The big part, what you'll see, is the assisting. So we needed 2 officers. It was 122 out of those 198. We needed 2 officers at that time. And then you compare it to last year at that time. So we had 485 now incidents. We have 456 last year. So looks like we have an increase of incidents so far this year. So we have an increase. The arrests are, I believe those are down. No, they're not. Yes, they are. 198 now, and last year at this time we had 231. So it's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
So I'll get right into the monthly September report for Officer Gabrielli. September was the first month of school for SRO Gabrielli. With 19 days of school, she responded to incidents at the Kingwood High School, wrote 15 reports. 2 reports were reported to have occurred in outside jurisdiction, not from the school complex. So she split up a fight. So this is at the Kingswood campus. She split up a fight that occurred in her presence in the hallway. The individuals were separated and they each received school discipline. So she was actually walking down the hallway, past the individuals, and then all of a sudden they started fighting. So they actually saw her, but they didn't care. Both the SROs assisted school administrators with a disorderly parent. SRO Gabrielli investigated an assault which resulted in school discipline. They both assisted in clearing hallways during an incident where a student with special needs was escorted back to their classroom. SRO Gabrielli took a report for an assault and disorderly conduct that occurred in a classroom which resulted in school discipline and a referral to juvenile probation and parole for a CANS assessment, which is a strengths and needs assessment. The CANS must be completed prior to charges being filed. She took a report of theft. The items were located and given back to the owner. She took a report for an assault and disorderly conduct that occurred in the cafeteria, which resulted in school discipline, and referred to the juvenile probation parole for CANS assessment. She took a report regarding criminal threatening, which when investigated did not occur, so no further action was needed. She forwarded a case from patrol regarding regarding an assault that occurred at one of the Kingswood High School football games, which resulted in school discipline. I was actually at that game, and referred to juvenile probation and parole and CANS assessment. She took a report from another agency within the school district regarding a student who may be affiliated with a juvenile gang. After being investigated, no credible leads to the gang existed. Both SROs escorted a student out of the high school for disorderly conduct after being requested by school administration. Several warnings were issued to the student prior to being escorted out, which resulted to referral to the juvenile probation and parole for CANS assessment. SRO Gabrielli took one report regarding a student in possession of tobacco vape. The student received school discipline, and the item received and later destroyed goes to our evidence. The process goes that way. She investigated a motor vehicle accident that occurred at the Arts Center after the school dismissal. She assisted a juvenile and parent regarding how to obtain an order of protection through the court and referred them to Starting Point. A report was not generated for them. She participated in a meeting regarding the Kingswood Next Step team. The mission of the Kingswood Next Step team is to provide intervention and support for identifying at-risk kids as well as students to increase overall positive behaviors and academic success. She attended a 2-day training for strengthening child abuse and child exploitation cases with statement evidence. So outside the jurisdiction, she took a report of sexual assault that occurred outside of the school. The information was forwarded to the agency with jurisdictions for investigation. She also took a report of sexual assault that occurred outside the school. The information was forwarded to that agency with jurisdiction for investigation. So, I mean, it just tells you how those kids are comfortable coming to her and speaking to her at the school. So she takes the initial report and then forwards it off. So you'll see all the data that's behind there with the numbers that she does daily. And I'll get into Officer LaRochelle's first monthly report. 19 days, same as Officer Gabrielli for the school. On his first day of school, SRO LaRochelle and SRO Gabrielli took a report of found vape pen on the floor of a middle school from the assistant principal, Kevin Welch. The item was seized and later destroyed. He took a report from transportation about a road rage incident involving a Carpenter school bus and another driver on Union Street after school left out. The other driver has charges pending for disorderly conduct. SRO La Rochelle took a report at the high school for a student receiving a threatening message from a spoof phone call. The caller ID stated Wolfeboro Police Department, which was clearly false upon listening to the message. The call also impersonated an officer. Investigation ongoing. SRO La Rochelle and SRO Gabrielli and Duty Officer Corporal Shanks assisted a student at the Arts Center who had locked their keys in the vehicle. So I actually knew the student. She actually called me first because I know the parents very well, and she couldn't get a hold of the parents to get the car unlocked, so I had them go over. So Corporal Shanks, as we see, we got to the third officer to get into the vehicle with the
airbags?
Slim Jim thing and all that. So it's a Volkswagen, which is a very challenging car to unlock the car. So he actually got into the middle because the student had her regular keys and the second of the keys inside purse. Lifted the purse up, flipped it over, got the keys to fall out, and then pressed the button on the keys. Pretty good, huh?
Wow. That's
Yeah, they were really excited about
Ingenuity.
it. So they were able to open the vehicle. SRO La Rochelle took a report from Assistant Principal Welch regarding a middle school student being threatened online by a high school student. SRO La Rochelle took a report regarding 2 middle school students and 1 high school student harassing the public after school in a new Carpenter playground. Students were identified, and they, as well as parents, were spoken to and informed that similar future events would demean the insurance of a trespass notice. Concerns. SRO La Rochelle assisted middle school administration with a disruptive female student during a clearing hallway event. The student eventually calmed down and departed the building with a parent. He assisted Assistant Principal Welch with an unruly student that was refusing to leave the classroom. The student agreed to comply shortly after SRO presence was made. He assisted Carpenter Principal Corrine Rowe regarding a situation of suspicious male watching the children in the playground. SRO La Rochelle and SRO Gabrielli went to the cameras and attempted to locate the individual while working with the duty unit, Sergeant Michael Strock, to help find the person in question. While response was swift, the person in question was gone upon our arrival, and the discussion was held at the PD about heightening patrols during recess time in the future. So SRO La Rochelle has been making efforts to eat lunch with 7th grade and 8th grade students to build relations, answer questions, encourage dialogue between certain cliques of students that don't typically interact with each other. So they're loving that when they see that, the teachers. On 2 separate occasions, SRO La Rochelle has gone into the classroom to speak to students about why jail or prison is not preferred to joining the workforce. On both occasions, students were disrespecting the lesson plan and projecting that prison was preferred to using skills being taught. Main point of conversation was to dispel their ideas of what prison life is like by speaking from past experience, as Officer La Rochelle, was a corrections officer prior to being a police officer. So good conversations in classrooms and bringing him into it, so that was very well done. As you'll see, the data that comes with it, the numbers that he has, and I'll get into the detective report. Any questions for that?
Just as an aside, Captain, it's interesting to note that there's an awful lot of incidents at the school, and we've heard this term about over-policing, but it's also interesting to note that there were 0 arrests in handling all of those incidents. So that is just one alternative to many, and you'll see referrals, school discipline. So I don't want people to get the concept that we're being overbearing, because of the stats at the end of the month showed they use good discretion in dealing with all these different cases.
Go into the detective report for September. Detective Emerson was assigned cases from other officers for investigation and assistance with interviews. During September, Detective Emerson was assigned a possession of child sexual abuse material, simple assault, unwanted touching, and a fraud case. And then you'll see his data there. So he is, for the September, as of August, he did a lot of coverage for patrol. Case initiated 71%, and so he doesn't have the cases closed for that month that I see. He's still got it at 0%, so he just didn't switch that. He must have not got the data in there. So we'll fix that up for next month. And we'll go into Prosecutor Morgan's. So he had 12 defendants responding to 12 charges. Of those 12, 11 were found guilty. 1 put on file for counseling. The conviction rate was 91%, with $3,571.40 in fines, penalties, and restitutions meted out to the courts. And you can see all what they are, the charges and everything. So, and I'll get into what the budget is. So I did this on the 17th, which was 2 days ago, Tuesday, after they did the budget for the payroll on Monday. So as you see, I do a little budget overview. I like to call it the
Cluster of 5.
Yeah, it's nice. So if you can keep that cluster of 5 at a underspent or in the same ballpark, you're doing very well. If that goes over, then other areas of your budget are going to start taking a hit. So right now, the PD budget is 75.99%. We should be at 78.85%. So it's 2.87% underspent, which comes out to $61,587.19. The dispatch budget is 77.08%, which is 1.77%, which comes out to $9,570.09. Now, animal control is a different one, so don't get alarmed when you see this number. It's at 216.73%, which is overspent by 137.88%. That's $36,925.64. So that came out to be a animal cruelty case that we had to pay some things out to the Humane Society. I have a grant out with the agricultural, which we should find out by the end of this month if we're going to get the $37,000 back, which will come back into the budget and even everything out.
Was that the cat case?
That is, yeah. So the total amount that we've given out is $59,000. Which is a lot. So total, all 3 budgets were at 77.59%. That's 1.26%, which comes out to underspent at $34,235.51, which is pretty good, knowing that we had a very busy day on Monday, which we had Trump come into the school. So, but I got nothing else for that. If you got any questions,
Any questions?
yeah. Then we'll go to the
Any
chief's item.
questions,
No questions.
comments? Okay. Chief?
Yes.
Your items.
Thank you. I'll start out under the topic of personnel. Our recruit, Frank McGee, is nearing graduation down in Concord, and we expect that he'll be at commencement on November 17th at 6 p.m. And we'll certainly be down there to welcome him to the fray. Of course, then he'll go through 6 or 8 weeks or so of field training. And
Actually, 8 to 12.
he'll be going through 8 to 12 weeks of field training. And
Yeah.
then after that, he'll be on his own. So we're going to welcome Frank in. Under training for the month, as part of our annual in-service requirements, I've attended a 2-hour class on motor vehicle law at the Sheriff's Department, and I completed a 2-hour session on ethics training. Investigator Chris Warren has completed training in accreditation management. Our annual firearms qualification program is ongoing. under the direction of Sergeant Jared Bullier. And I want to thank the Sheriff, Dominic Risciardi, for the continued use of the county range. We held a staff meeting in this reporting period, and we talked about the new reporting requirements of 106L, and we went over some of our updates on our internal affairs policy. Chris Dustin has just completed field training officer school, so we'll be using him with recruit McGee. Under assisting other agencies and community outreach, 3 of our officers assisted the current recruit class at the academy. That's Chris Dustin, he works scenarios. Lieutenant Maloney and Corporal Shanks taught on collisions and investigations. Sergeant Bullier and Corporal Shanks assisted the Children's Center with a practice evacuation drill. Captain and I met with the school board in non-public sessions to discuss matters of mutual interest, and we attended a town department head meeting in this reporting period. Under general topics, accreditation process, we've submitted our application for the New Hampshire Law Enforcement Accreditation Program, and Investigator Chris Warren will spearhead this process and work with Lieutenant Maloney. As I have noted in the past, we have to comply with 114 standards that reflect industry-recognized best practices. These standards reflect what agencies should be doing, but not necessarily how we have to do it. And accreditation came about back in the 80s, and it was a product of 4 well-known and revered organizations. One was the Police Executive Research Forum, the International Chiefs of Police, the National Organization of Black Law Enforcement Executives, and the International Sheriff's Association. So these standards have been around to get updated as needed, and they refer to best practices in management, operations, investigations, records, and support services. So we're going to be initiating that process. I think I mentioned in another period that it'd be great to have us ready for an on-site assessment when the new building is opening up. Public safety building construction, there's been a lot of concrete poured in recent days and a lot of heavy equipment around. And we expect to be moving our central dispatch over to Huggins in late winter or early spring, around March 28th or so. And that will be the kickoff of phase 2, which will be the destruction of the existing bays and the expansion of the brick part of the building towards the rear. I'm correct in that, right? Yeah. Okay. Under the fleet, our fleet took a really big hit when we lost 2 additional cruisers to failed safety inspections this month. Those cars are 10 years old. They're Ford Tauruses. I think they changed the name to Interceptors. And the body rot was so bad that the structural integrity has been compromised, and fumes can go into the passenger compartment. So those vehicles are offline, and we're trying to deal with the fact that we've lost 3 cars from our fleet. On the 2024 budget process, as you know, we presented our budgets to the board on the 12th. Next step is a revisit, I think, on the 30th.
30th at 6 o'clock.
30th at 6 o'clock. And then we'll be going on to the budget committee on November 14th.
16th.
And with a lot of challenges.
November 16th.
November
16th.
I thought it was the 14th. That's right with
Thank you, sir. All right.
Not a problem.
And there's still going to be a lot of challenges on the 16th as well as the
Yes.
14th. So we need to support and endorse our modest requests for next year at every opportunity. Drug take back will occur on Saturday, the 28th, from 10 to 2, and they'll be right next door at the Public Safety Building. And as you folks know, this is an opportunity to safely discard outdated or unused prescriptions. Simply come by the PD there. Between those hours, you can dump off what you don't want. This program helps to keep medication from falling into unintended hands, and it helps to protect the environment by proper disposal. South Main Street Water System Project, I'll just speak to that because the captain attended kind of a lengthy meeting this week on something that'll be happening in spring. There's going to be water main work from Pickering Corner all the way into the downtown area and some of the side streets there. They will not be working on this from Memorial Day to Labor Day, so it's going to be an interesting project.
Pretty much a logistic nightmare,
Yeah.
kind of, in a way.
It's an interesting project.
Yeah.
So,
They're supposedly gonna be able to keep 2 lanes of traffic open all the time, even with the construction going on. That's the goal.
They're hoping.
But we're gonna be losing a lot of parking.
okay. So surely be more updates on that as the project nears. And the big news item in the reporting period would be, of course, the Trump rally held on October 9th. I'll just give you guys a little bit of a briefing on that. Lieutenant Maloney was charged with the planning of this major event. In addition to our own department personnel, he worked many hours with Secret Service and many state, county, and local law enforcement agencies, some Trump staffers, Public Works personnel, the SAU officials, and the Kingswood support staff and faculty. And they made this event a very safe and incident-free day. On the morning of the 9th, people started showing up there just shortly after midnight. And I got there around 6 o'clock. It was still pitch dark. And the midnight officer, Chris Dustin, had been coming in and out of there. Parking lot was nearly full at that time. Lieutenant Maloney conducted a briefing at 7 a.m. and personnel were in place shortly thereafter. The doors to the auditorium were opened at 9:30 and attendees were admitted after being screened by uniformed Secret Service agents. We estimate that approximately 2,000 people were turned away once the site was at capacity. And there were some real characters there, but we're pleased to know the crowds were orderly and respectful, and there were no arrests or major incidents. I talked to one couple that flew from San Francisco the day before just to come to this rally. And there were people from New York City there and even some places farther away. I'm most appreciative of Lieutenant Maloney's good work on the planning and execution of the special operation, and I'm particularly proud of the conduct and deportment of our officers. In the aftermath, we received 2 messages of gratitude from the Secret Service on a job well done, and they were particularly grateful about crowd control, the perimeter security, and the access and egress that we made for the motorcade to come and go. And we thank the Wolfeboro residents, the business community, and visitors for their patience and understanding during this event. And I'd just like to note some of the agencies that assisted us. New Hampshire State Police, both uniform and special operations. The U.S. Secret Service, both the uniform division and special agents. A private security agency called Colorado Security. The Carroll County Sheriff's Department. Wolfeboro Fire Rescue, Wolfeboro Public Works, the SAU office and staff, and Belknap County Special Operations. And, we're very pleased with the outcome of that day. And that's all I have, gentlemen. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Chief.
Chief. Any questions? The Chief? Okay, our next meeting will be held here Thursday, November 16th. At our typical 4 p.m. start time. And as Chief Chase just said, we will be presenting our 2024 budget to the Budget Committee at 6 p.m. in the Bradley Room. That follows our next meeting. So we'll basically redo the room and stay on for the second meeting. Tom Bell, anything from the Budget Committee that you'd like to share?
We have our first meeting coming up on the 24th, so we'll be beginning the process there, but I just wanted to mention that I thought the presentation of your 2024 budget thoughts were well done and good discussion through that process. So good beginning, and now we go from here. I'll keep you informed as developments occur.
Okay, and we'll see you on the 19th, or 16th rather, I'm sorry, today's the 19th. Catchy, it's catchy, it's not the 14th. Selectman Brian.
Santa Claus and Mrs. Claus and the elves are coming back.
That'll make a lot of kids happy.
Yep. It's free as always for families and children to go see them. The chamber is setting up their November 25th to December 25th events. So we'll have our parade and everything's going to be in full swing. We have last night that's going to be kicked off and have fireworks and everything again this year. And the EDC is involved in helping to expand that. The EDC is working with the GI Plastic to get them new electricity. We've been working with the town and it's progressing slowly, but they'll have an expansion there that will add 30 or 40 new full-time, well-paying positions there. I thought the Trump rally went off excellent, and everybody did a fantastic job on it. The only hiccup that we had was that police, fire, and ambulance detail wasn't covered. Their expenses weren't covered in the cost paid by the Trump organization. So therefore, it's going to fall upon the school department to pay back the town. And that sounds well and good, but it's just different taxpayer money. And it will be then spread out among all the towns in the district instead of just the town of Wolfeboro. So it's something that the SAU has to look at going forward when they have events at the Art Center. If they need your assistance, they have to make sure that the groups that are renting the facility are paying for your assistance. That makes sense for everybody in town. Other than that, we're just strangling the budget as much as we can.
We know you noticed.
Yeah, and it's just, we're asking everybody to tighten the belts because we have an incredible debt service because we have a new high school, relatively new, it's still on the books. We have a new rebuilt town hall. We have a rebuilt library. And we have a rebuilt skating rink, and we're going to have a rebuilt public safety building. Then we have the South Main project, and that project is going to continue all the way down to Pleasant Valley Road. I think the whole thing is about $10 million for that project. We have to rebuild 2 sewer pump stations. We have to rebuild our wastewater treatment plant because these were all done in the 70s and before. And the infrastructure that we're rebuilding in South Main is over 110 years old. So we have a lot on our plate as a community. So we're doing the best we can.
Thank you. Any questions for either of the gentlemen? From either of you? No. Okay. Any public input? Okay. Gotta ask, Bernie, I gotta ask. We do appreciate that you come and see us every month. Seeing that we have no other business before us this afternoon, I will entertain a motion to enter into non-public session under RSA 91A under matters of internal practice and personnel. Do I have a movement on that?
So noted.
All right, moved by Commissioner Duffy. Do I have a second?
You do have a second.
Second by Commissioner Coop. Roll call vote. Commissioner Duffy?
Here.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
And yes.
Commissioner Coop?
Aye.
And Commissioner Wood is a yes also. We will stand in recess while the camera breaks down and clear the room.